Happy New Year and welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and here we are, the year 2022. Good night. And we have the first BumbleKast of the year. We have a lot of fun stuff lined up for you this month, or at least planned. We'll see how it goes. We've got another patron-sponsored guest episode. We have a new thing, a patron-sponsored character episode, where we're going to have Q&A answered by Dr. Starline by your personal request. I do so look forward to that one. And your usual sponsored episodes and standard Q&A episodes. Schedule's going to be a little funny this month because the man behind the curtain, Kyle JCRB Krause, has COVID and he is fighting valiantly against it. Once he has recovered, we're going to get back into the swing of things. So big shout out to Kyle, who is working behind the scenes still. The man is sick and he's still making this show happen. The man is amazing. And a big thank you to Jen for helping to cultivate the questions again. And same as before. All questions asked here, we'll answer them as fast as we can in the next couple hours. Any question that doesn't get answered is going to be added to the queue for the standard Q&A episodes, and we will get to them as soon as we can. You can buy your way to the head of the line by setting a $5 or more super chat. And speaking of Kyle, because he is sick, Nitro Game Injection is going to have to be on a small hiatus. So if you are so inclined, send a super chat and make sure that's tagged to him and help him out this month. So we'll divert that from the BumbleKast funds over to Nitro Game Injection and give Kyle a little bit of help here at the start of the year. I believe that is all the news and announcements. So without further ado, we're going to get into it. And because Kyle is off mic, you're going to hear nothing but me for the next 2 hours. I hope that's okay. We're going to start off here with a couple standard Q&A, and then we'll get to our first super chat. Holy crap, you guys are already started. Thank you so much. First off, we've got one from Jeffrey St. John. Happy New Year, Ian and Kyle. Here's to the upcoming movie, game, and the 50th issue of IDW Sonic. Speaking of the latter, what is your favorite anniversary issue of Sonic, either Archie or Fleetway? Sadly, I am not as familiar with the Fleetway stuff, so I don't feel really comfortable naming one because I don't know any of the anniversary stories on that one. As for the old Archie book, I mean, Endgame was a mess. Let's not pretend otherwise, but it still kind of set the bar. It is kind of the anniversary issue that is remembered. It kind of eclipses everything else. I mean, sure, there's Robotnik's return in 75, and that's kind of a big deal, but it's Robotnik. He's going to come back. It's a licensed book. You know he's going to come back. 25 was, great because Patrick Spaziante is a god among men, and that was some glorious looking metal Sonic. 100, 125, 150. Shoot, I don't even remember that one. And then we start getting into my run, and I don't think I can vote for my own milestone issues. That feels a little arrogant. So, yeah, I suppose that. Question from Saeed C. Were there going to be any developments about Sonic being the embodiment of chaos, or was it just an explanation for plot armor? Basically just that. Just an explanation for plot armor. A kind of tongue-in-cheek nod and wink to what the series was. But it wasn't like we were going to develop that into him being some kind of chaos god or something. I mean, they already cornered the market on that. That's the god of destruction. Pidgeot Tamer says, so who dies in issue 50? Oh, I can't spoil that. Hashtag knowing smile. PC the Unicorn. Let's see. Are IDW original characters allowed to have parents? I'm curious to know what Tangle's parents are like. That is an interesting question. in the old Archie days, the OCs were pretty much developed and approved in-house. We more or less had free reign to do what we wanted for the most part. Like the Meropis crew, I don't think they got the same kind of scrutiny that any of the IDW crew has. The IDW crew, on the other hand, is much more within Sega's sphere of influence. They're paying much more attention to those. So they might have some of the restrictions that the main cast does. I am not sure, to be perfectly honest. That would be something we would have to test down the line. So we'll see. We will see. One more standard before we get to the super chats. Skull Cake, or Skull by Cake, I beg your pardon, says, how was Dr. Starline's childhood? What can you tell us about it? And more importantly, when did he develop his obsession for Dr. Eggman? That might kind of spin off of PC's question, in that I don't know if we can show the IDW crew aging, you know? I don't know if we can get into too deep a backstory and showing a progression of time. And I also don't want to immediately delve into that, because I feel like that gets almost too into the weeds with the character. Part of the appeal is, with the main characters, is we don't get a ton of their backstory. They're built around who they are, and we kind of riff off of that. Then again, part of the appeal, at least in the Archie days of the original cast, was we could do more in-depth stuff. So you would think that would apply to the IDW crew. But they might be under more restriction because Sega's paying closer attention. I don't know. I really don't know. That will be something to investigate down the line, test the water, see what we can and can't do. All right, hanging over to Super Chats. Thank you again already. This one comes from Whisk Cheese. Who would win the fight, Infinite, Void, or Mephiles? Also, in your opinion, who would most likely to return in any Sonic content between these three? In terms of raw power, if he applied himself smartly, Mephiles by a mile. I mean, the dude could go back in time and stop either of them from existing. I mean, Void is itself, himself, herself, themselves. What pronoun is attached to Void? Anyway, Void is kind of weird in that they are an aspect of Illumina, and therefore they're kind of godly, but they're also restricted to the dream world. So I don't know, but Mephiles himself can move through time and manipulate it directly. So I think that kind of trumps anything that Infinite or Void could do. In terms of returning, I would think Infinite. His death, in big quotation marks, is obscure enough that you can write around it, and he is super popular. So I see him coming back well before either of the others. Void is unfortunately attached to Sonic Shuffle, which is not remembered fondly. And Mephiles is like super canon dead. Another super chat from Dansam. Can you give Shadow a gun or any type of machinery? Maybe. The usage of firearms is kind of under discussion, from my understanding. I mean, I would think a Wispon would be all right. That's what Forces was built around. So maybe he could be toting around a Wispon. I don't know. Well, that's something else we'll just have to see as time goes on. I don't know how I feel about him using support tech, jeeps and gliders and whatnot. It is different. It helps differentiate him from Sonic a little bit, but he's also supposed to be like super skilled. So it feels like if he's got the skill, why does he need extra equipment, But I mean, I guess if Sonic can have the tornado, then Shadow can have a gun glider. And if Shadow is a little more, I don't want to say militaristic, but direct in his methods, that might be a nice little motif difference. Sonic's got this nice, cuddly, old world tech biplane, and Shadow's got cutting edge surface air striking super mecha. Maybe? I don't know. Super chats keep rolling in. Holy mackerel. Sonic Mania 2099. I heard someone is working on the story for the next major Sonic game. What is your excitement levels? Through the roof. And also terror, because there's going to be an insane amount of scrutiny on this. So I can't really talk about it, sadly, although there's so much I would love to say. But I hope everyone enjoys it. I will do my best. That's probably all I can say on it. Oh, stupid NDAs. Super chat from System 509. What would Starline have done if he had been in Infinite's place in Forces? Phantom Ruby in hand and or Tricore / Warp Topaz. He would probably be more practical in the application of the virtual spaces. Definitely more strategic, probably more lethal. And he would he would definitely echo Infinite in the whole, why didn't you just let me kill Sonic when I had the chance? You don't need to break him, sir. Just kill him and everything will be fine. And then, the world at its 99% takeover starts sliding back, and he's just like, no, we had something beautiful here. Why didn't you just let me kill him? Super chat from Killian McMurphy. Thank you guys so much. Do you miss working with the lighter, goofier universes of Boom and Sonic X, or does the classic universe feel like a good outlet for those kinds of stories? Yes, I do miss those a lot. They were just fun. You get to do not whatever you want, but you don't have to worry so much about continuity or ramifications. You can just, throw ideas at the wall and riff on it and have fun with it. Classic is definitely more lighter in tone, but it still has that sense of adventure to it that I feel like drives it more than Boom and X. And X definitely, okay, let's specify here that we're talking comic book Sonic X, not anime. Sonic X, the comic, was definitely more goofy, especially as time went on. And that was kind of freeing and fun. Classic Sonic, at least with Seasons of Chaos, I was aiming for, lighthearted, but still adventure driven first and foremost. It just didn't necessarily have to have the dire circumstances that modern is kind of known for good of real. Okay, 2 more super chats to catch up, and then we'll get back to the standards. This one comes from Scurvy the Pirate Hog. That's there, Scurvy. Hey, hope Kyle is doing okay. Best wishes from Scurvy. Ian, just for the fun of it, how do you think the Sonic cast would react to the Sonic 2 movie trailer? All I can think of is the Knuckles scene, and Knuckles being super hype, and Sonic just kind of going, nah, it wouldn't happen like that. No way it would happen like that. No, it looks nice, sure, but it wouldn't be anything like that. No, I don't know what you're talking about. This is boring. I'm gonna go for a run. And Knuckles is just like hitting rewind on that one moment over and over and over again because he enjoys it so much. And Tails is like, well, at least I'm in there. I'm here at least. That's nice. Another super chat from Lloyd. Considering Silver doesn't poof out of existence or has his memories rewritten, does his original messed up future still exist in some way? From my understanding, and grain of salt, okay, don't take this as super canon, but from what has been explained to me is the ending of 06 where the sky clears and everything is still kind of ruined but better, is the quote blue skies future, and that is his timeline now, and thus it is good and better, and it stays that way until something bad happens in the past and then he has to stop it. We've talked about it on the show in the past few years. New Year's joke. But time travel in the Sonic books are Sonic media is frightful. All right, let's do some standard Q&A, and then we'll get back to the super chats. Skull by Candy. How was Dr. No, we read that one. Whoops. First time I'm flying solo, guys. Do be patient with me. Madeline Bluestar 7 asks, Happy New Year! I love to imagine various Sonic crossovers. The Sonic cast transport to the 100-acre woods and meet Winnie the Pooh and friends. Describe different interactions. Oh, let's see here. Sonic and Tigger are literally bouncing off the walls. Well, trees. There's no real walls there, I guess. Amy would be inclined to assist Rabbit with managing things a little bit, but then Rabbit's fastidiousness would even get on her nerves, and just, she's going to run off with Sonic and Tigger here. Okay, she's going to have fun. Pooh Bear and Big are just chilling out. Big is fishing, Pooh is having honey. They talk about honey glazed salmon and that it's a good thing. They're good. They're just chilling out. Tails becomes Piglet's life coach. You gotta be brave, little Piglet. You gotta meet adversity head on. And Eggman spends the entire time trying to hunt down the Heffalumps and Woozles. They would make great fodder for his latest killer machine, but he can't find the darn things. I mean, how does the song go? Whatever you love, they covet, and he doesn't love anything, so he can't find them. Raphael C asks, there is an early concept art showing 3 types of Phantom Rubies. One is the finished product, one is the prototype, and there's one called Origin Stone, unused. According to the concept art, the prototype version is the one used in Sonic Mania, while the Origin Stone was not used in Mania. The problem is it wasn't used in Forces either. Supposedly, Eggman would have found the Origin Stone in Forces in the early script. Were you aware of this during the prequel comics? No, I was not. And I don't think I have seen that art. So if somebody wants to link it to me somewhere, either in the description in the comments of this video, on Twitter, wherever, send it my way. I would love to see that. That would be neat. That one from Darker is Night canon to Sonic, or is the universe of Night connected to Sonic's universe? Oh, you mean Nights, like in Nights Into Dreams? I don't think so, but I really would like to find a way to bridge those two. I think I know how to do that. It would be fun, but put that on the wish list of things to do, because I mean, I've got the writing the game thing down. I need to aim for something else, I guess. Laba asks, Goku versus Archie Sonic. Sorry, Goku. No, like, all right, which era Goku? Are we talking like OG Dragon Ball? Because that might be a fairer fight. But if we're talking like Ultra Instinct training under Whis to become an angel Goku, yeah, no. Sorry. Archie Sonic does some crazy stuff, but he's not even in the same league. Not even remotely close. Got this one from Rez. So, Game Multiverse, Archie Multiverse, and Boom Multiverse are absolutely not connected. Correctamundo. Consider Archie Multiverse its own bag of marbles, and that has been permanently placed on the shelf, never to be seen again. And Boom itself, I guess, has been retired, so that's another bag of marbles off to the side. You can't see me pantomiming me placing things on a shelf because we don't do video here on the BumbleKast. So Game Multiverse is its own thing. It is its own bag of marbles. L. Law asks, if the Genesis arc hadn't happened, what would have been different? Would Sally still get blam, blam, blammed? What would have caused Nagus' past selves to reawaken? Some of this will be... Would that be covered in Lost Hedgehog Tales? No, because Genesis was already pre-baked in. Kind of, sort of. No, Sally would not have been... Yeah, okay. Sorry, it's been so long since I worked on that stuff. It's dusting off the cobwebs of the memories. Before Genesis got injected into the plans, there was no blam, blam, blam. That was just Sonic and Sally storming the Death Egg, saving the day, and then Sally making the ultimate sacrifice to save the world, but getting roboticized herself. As for Nagas, he was going to degrade, but I think that was just like it's supposed to be a natural byproduct of him being this awful amalgamation of three individuals that he was slowly just decaying anyway. Maybe it was part of the Chaos Emerald use. Again, it's been a long time since I've had to think of Archie Cannon. All right, let's jump back to the Super Chats. Thank you again for all your support, guys. Edward9909. Hey, Ian, if you could make a spin-off comic around a main character like Knuckles or Silver, who would you pick and why? Depends on the latitude given. Knuckles is my knee-jerk reaction because Knuckles is my boy. He's always been my boy. That's why that bit in the movie trailer just brought a tear to my eye, because like finally we have gotten the Knuckles that I knew was there all along. I would like to expand upon his world and lineage and stuff, but get him off that freaking floating rock and do something. But for now, he's kind of relegated to that. Silver, if we could explore and expand his future, that could be interesting. Or play with the time travel dimensional thing and kind of do a quantum leap or what if scenario where he's jumping to other possible timelines, send him to all the possible bad ends we've discussed on the show and see what he can do. Can he right the wrongs of a doomed world again and again and again? Or just explore the future and, give him his own supporting cast and give him villains and adventures. But that would just depend on what I was allowed to do with it. Super chat from Rush. We all know Sonic is the fastest thing alive, but seriously, who's faster than Sonic? Emerald? Shadow? Anyone else? I don't think Emerald or Shadow are. I know Shadow definitely is not. That was a note I got in the past, that they are equal in speed and ability. And Emerald learns his skills off of them, so if he's emulating them, I would imagine that he can only emulate as much as he's seen. Which is kind of moot because he's, dead. But in theory, I'm sure he could keep pace, but I don't think he could outpace. And, Jet, he gets an honorable mention, but he's stuck to his extreme gear. If he's off that, I don't know if he can run on foot. So no, nothing is faster than Sonic. Unless, I think technically in Sonic R, Metal Sonic has the top speed. But then you get into your nitty-gritty, metrics and whatnot. In-game wise, lore-wise, I think Sonic is, the top. And I'm not counting super forms, because then you're getting, that's different. That's something else. Sonic Mania 2099, again with Super Chat. I heard that Surge and Kit were planned before IDW Comics started. Were they planned Archie characters? No. They were part of the original pitch for the Metal Virus arc. That's probably where the confusion comes from. The original idea was that Starline, Surge, and Kit would all come together as a unit to support Eggman during the Metal Virus. And then as we were developing the story, it's it's too much. There's no way that we can fully realize all three of them and do Metal Virus at the same time. So we just put them on the shelf and said, we'll get back to them if Starline's popular, spin off from there, then get in then complete the glitch trio. And if nobody likes Starline, then, I don't know, maybe he gets eaten by a zombie and we never see him again. But Starline took off. He's super popular. Thank you guys very much for all your interest and support. And he became the vehicle to introduce Surge and Kit. And Imposter Syndrome number 2 is out this month. I don't remember when, because I'm bad at marketing myself. Got another super chat here from Scurvy the Pirate Hog. Something I'm curious about, but since he is the last Echidna, how would Game/IDW Knuckles react if he met another living Echidna, male and female? I'm assuming that you mean meeting a male Echidna and a female echidna. Never mind. I'm overcomplicating it. I would like to think overjoyed, but he's also a little dense and on guard, so possibly defensive. Might think it's a trick at first. Might even think it's another Mechanuckles in disguise. Wouldn't that be funny? He clocks the first person he sees of his own race, thinking that it's a robot doppelganger. And oops, nope. Well, I'm extinct again. Oh well. I would love us to finally see a extension upon the echidnas that's free and clear of any other problems. You know, I mean, the fact that he's the last echidna doesn't really do anything for him anymore. What is the point, even? I'm about to get ahead of myself. All right, let's go on to the standard Q&A again. This one from Rosemary Riviera. I got Sonic the Hedgehog Encyclopedia, and I am confused about the part about Infinite is consumed by the Phantom Ruby. Is he dead or not? I think he is not. Rosemary, I wish it was more clear, but that is the clearest answer I could give with the information I was given. So that is kind of the official moment, and that's why I think he might be able to come back, because the meaning of his quote-unquote death is super up in the air. I don't know. I really don't know. But thank you for buying the encyclopedia. Oh, I probably should mention, after the show, I'm going to update the Bumble store and get you guys access to both the collector's edition and the hardcover edition. Books on the Bumble comic shop are signed, of course, for no extra charge. So if you're listening to this live, check it out in a few hours. And if you're listening to this on Monday, head on over and see if there's anything left. Quick water break because I've been talking nonstop for a half hour. All right, back in a minute with Gab Sam. Now that we are close to the Valentine's Day, how does Sonic characters spend that day? Especially Tangle, Whisper, Starline, Silver, and Blaze. Let's see. Reverse order. Blaze dreads it, assuming that it's the same kind of thing in her dimension. Because suitors come out of the woodwork for the Imperial Princess, and none of them are sincere, and she is so tired of it. She just kind of wants to just hang out with friends and go off the grid. Silver doesn't know what holidays are because they were all burned away by Iblis. And then when you explain it to him, he's confused because aren't you supposed to love everyone every day? Starline, he hates holidays in general. They're kind of insipid. They are frivolous constructs by lesser minds. They get in the way of work. You show your affection by just doing things, like conquering the world, and then showing that you did it right. Whisper is bashful about it. She always has been, and she's still a little gun-shy about deep personal relationships. So she wouldn't mind, just going off the grid with Blaze for a bit. Tangle is not really the romantic type, but she kind of enjoys collecting the Valentines as if they were collectible cards. Like, sure, you can buy a whole pack of them at the drugstore for like nothing, but there's more fun hunting it down and trading them off and seeing who got you what. She treats it like a gotcha game, and that's just silly, but that's very Tangle. Got one from Shinjin. How would Tangle and Whisper's dynamic change if they were in a relationship? Also, who would confess first and how? Ideally, the dynamic wouldn't change. They would still be very good friends. They would still be adventurers in their own rights. And they would be able to do things independently as well as a team. Duos, partners, whether it's platonic partners or romantic partners. It would not define who they are. Who would confess first and how? I think Jewel would have to force somebody to do something, or Amy, or Kramer, an outside force, because Tangle would kind of be aloof about it. She would just assume that everything is going the way she's thinking, and Whisper is not the one to take that step. The famed sniper is going to be hesitant to pull that trigger. Let's see here. real quick. I'm getting a notification over here on... Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry, bunch of windows going up at once. Got a question here from Levi. What is it like adapting characters who don't speak in the games into comics, like Heavy King and Hooligans? It is, I don't want to say groping in the dark, but it is I do try to look at what is presented in the game and build off of that. With Heavy King specifically, he has that kind of commanding presence, like with that one little bit in the opening animation, the way that he looks at the others. Who was it? Not Heavy Policeman, Heavy Gunner. There we go. That kind of glance of, well, do something. That very understated gesture tells us how commanding he is. So that's where I tried to go with things. With the Hooligans, the trick with Seasons of Chaos was, Bean and Bark were what I had done in the past, and I wanted to see if that would fly. If SEGA would still be okay with that. And they were, and that made me so happy. With Fang, I wanted to try something a little different because he's been all over the place in the past, super serious and not. But if you look at his few game appearances, he's not that threatening, especially in Triple Trouble. He's a goof. Half the time his traps don't work, or he's lost control of the Marvelous Queen or what have you. So I wanted to, make him funnier to fit with that. But he still has this kind of arrogance in his portrayal. He'll do the finger wag, he'll do the mocking laugh. He's got that smirk in Sonic the Fighter, so he thinks he's all that, and that arrogance is what informed how I wrote that. But I wanted to give him a little different voice that was kind of clearly, here is the new Fang versus other ones. All right, going to take a break and head over to Super Chat. This comes from Dunsum. Does modern Sonic's eye color evolve from black to green, or has it been rewritten to him always having green eyes? I don't know. I mean, technically, I think the profile info out there has classic Sonic and modern Sonic is the same height when they clearly aren't. So, I don't know, man. Just sure. Say that when he grew taller with more spines and changed color in his quills, he also changed his eye color. From another one from Rush. Considering modern and classic Sonic were able to meet in forces, would you consider the possibility of a Sonic multiverse crossover? Which Sonics are your favorites, and who would you want to include? Well, right there you got modern and classic, so that's 2. I would love to revive Boom Sonic to toss that into the mix. That would be fun. And then if you really want something different, a different Sonic to spice up the dynamic, I mean, we've got Movie Sonic now, who's younger and more naive than the others, so that would add an interesting slant to it. And then either Adventures of or Sad AM Sonic. Just for the attitude and that very 90s version. But also, with at least Adventures of, you get that almost Bugs Bunny-like quality to it, that almost fourth wall breaking kind of thing. And that could be an interesting dynamic. I'm told I missed one from Scruffy Matt. Where did that one go? Jin, help. Oh, there it is. Thank you very much. I'm going to jump over to standard Q&A again. This one from Scruffy Matt. Hi, Ian. I was just watching Sin Francis' 24-hour Sonic stream, and Professor Rye raised an interesting question during Sonic Adventure. Who took the photo of Birdie and its family? Also, while we're on the subject, I guess I should ask where Birdie got the Chaos Emerald too. Good questions. Good questions. There's not always a good answer, though. I mean, the little animals of the world seem to have a fair amount of sapience, and like the larger animals like Sonic and all can talk to them to some degree, communicate with them. So maybe a bunch of birds floated around and were like, Twitter, Twitter. And someone's like, oh, do you want a family photo? And they were like, Twitter, Twitter. And they're like, okay, I understand. And they took their picture. As for the Chaos Emerald, it's the same kind of thing where like Big has one as his lucky charm, or Princess Elise has had one all this time as her lucky charm or whatever. There's no particular rhyme or reason to it. They wrote each story kind of as it came along. A few more standard Q&A and we'll get back to the super chats. Let's see, we got one here from S Shining. Sega stated Boom is a new branch of the franchise, so wouldn't mean Boom is connected to the game multiverse? Insofar as it is a game that features Sonic, but there isn't an actual crossover between standard / modern Sonic and Boom. Therefore, Boom is its own thing. You're asking me to rationalize something that is not necessarily set in stone. Boom and its multiverse that it established with Steve, Eggman, and such, that's all kind of the Boom brand, and Boom is not being used anymore, so just kind of consider that bag of marbles. But modern and classic do still get content, and they do sometimes still interact. Therefore, they are kind of their own multiverse type of thing. Question from Yes. Does Sonic have a platonic... does Sonic has platonic concept Carl Jung archetypes, Neoplatonism, and quantum mechanics? Maybe. Question from Emerald Forgotten. No, he is not. He will always be remembered. I thought Imposter Syndrome was a pretty good arc. Well, thank you, but only one issue is out. But I questioned the decision to add dialogue to Sonic supporting NTFs in at the end. My question to Ian is, why did you do that? I have no idea what you're talking about. Is this a joke? Is this a pranky joke thing? I don't know. I don't get it. So we're going to move on to this one from Howl. In Sonic R, it states Radiant Emerald is a Chaos Emerald. Is it true? Because Super Sonic can be in Radiant Emerald, so it seems strange. Yeah, this came up on another BumbleKast, and I haven't been able to go back and double research this. But if Radiant Emerald happens inside Chaos Emerald and Super Sonic's in there, I mean, I don't know. Now, come to think of it, can you have Sonic and Super Sonic race in Sonic R? God, it's been so long. But I don't know. Say it's the 8th gold emerald out of Sonic 3 and Knuckles if you really want to. Say it's inside the Master Emerald. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And this one comes from Nico C. How are the holidays? I hope they went well for you two and your families. How would Starline react to Finitivus? I think he would like him at first, but then find out about his kill everything plan, he would turn on him. That's basically our assessment. We had that, I believe, somewhere in 2021, where we were talking about that in a couple episodes even, I think. But yeah, they would probably get along at first and then realize that they ultimately have conflicting agendas. Well, with Starline wanting to live and Finitivus not caring if anyone does. All right, let's swing back over to the super chats. Thank you again for everyone for your support. This one from Testing. Why does IDW have so few developed locations, especially original ones? Most are just fairly generic villages and towns with little setup to tell them apart. Mostly because they aren't meant to be reoccurring locations. They're meant to be temporary set pieces and the focus is on the characters themselves. If we are going to spend a dedicated time developing something like Restoration HQ, which we have seen a lot more of, then that gets a bit more attention. But, something like Barricade Town, which only got a name because we were using it as a kind of throwback location to show some continuity within the book, they're just place settings. They aren't really meant to be major locales. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry for that. Another super chat here from Scurvy the Pirate Hog. The Sonic 2 movie will give us Tails, Knuckles, and Master Emerald. What other characters and concepts do you want to see in the movieverse? I'm going to have to dodge this one because I do know some contents of the movie and I don't want to say anything that could potentially get me or others in trouble. I mean, I could obviously say stuff that isn't going to be in the movie, but then you would know that it's not in the movie. So that would cause problems. So we're not going to do that. This one comes from Jamal S. Ian Finn. Close. What your opinion on movie Knuckles and movie Tails? Do you think Knuckles, Shadow, Blaze, and Silver should get their own game? Love movie Knuckles. Cannot wait to see more of him. Tails, we didn't get to see a ton of him in the trailer, but I like what we see. He looks cute. He's got the freaking tornado. I didn't think we would get the tornado. That's cool. I'm just super hyped for that movie in general. It's going to be great. I really am looking forward to it. As for games themselves, yeah, I want to see a Metroidvania Knuckles. I will die on that hill. Shadow, I feel like he needs another shot. Personally, I think they should do like a Sin and Punishment style rail shooter. Give him a variety of Wispons, give him an auto runner where you shoot or jump or whatever, and then maybe there's a divergent path partway through. You can save civilians or you can hunt down the attacking bad guys. And don't necessarily lean too hard on the multiple endings, but, have a little bit of that branching path. Just don't leave it up to chance on which one is the actual storyline. Blaze and Silver, yeah, Blaze could stand alone if you give her like another Rush series type game. Silver would be interesting if it was more of a platform puzzler. Not quite sure how you would tackle the psychic physics puzzle aspect of it because I have a hard time thinking about how you would design a game like that. But somebody who's smarter than me might be able to think that. That could be fun. Another super chat from For Sonic Fan. Scourge and Surge team up. How bad does it look for Sonic? Bad. It'd be bad. He would be messed up by the end, but he would survive because the two of them would end up fighting each other over who gets to do the final blow. Two egos like that are not going to last long together very long. It would be, they would be their own worst enemies in more ways than one if you want to get all meta about it. Another super chat from Edward9909. How would 06 Shadow react to Boom Shadow? Impatient, I imagine. Barely tolerant. Because Boom Shadow is a jerk when you get down to it. And 06 Shadow is just kind of standoffish and grim. But he is still ultimately a force of good. So I think the arrogance of Boom Shadow would rankle him eventually. Let's jump back over to the standard Q&A. This one comes from Renaissance Girl. How long did the metal virus last? Since the passage of time is funny in Sonic in general, we'll say a few weeks. It spread pretty quickly. This one comes from Astra Kamel. Silver beats Sonic while he had an emerald, having an emerald boost. Then Infinite implied Silver is superior to Sonic. Silver stop easily, few metal and shadow, so is Silver above Sonic. I mean, when you get down to the practical application of his powers, yeah, Silver is OP as all get out. He's just stupid strong. He should be able to one-shot just about everyone. No problem. It's a matter of, I guess, outpacing his concentration. Like with if you have the unenviable job of playing as Sonic in the Silver boss fight, the whole reason you win is because he gets the limit of his TK power grabbing all the furniture, and then you bop him in the face. So basically you have to prey upon his distractions to take him down, which is nonsense, because then you get into the final Iblis fight and he's grabbing like a small moon worth of molten matter and throwing it back, which was epic. That was a great moment in the boss fight, not gonna lie. But when you're that freaking strong in universe, just like that is almost rip Death Egg out of orbit level of stupid power, you know? This one comes from Necromage. Does Kit genuinely care about Surge, or does he only care because of his programming? I'm not going to spoil that. Wait for Imposter Syndrome to really get into that. And even after Imposter Syndrome, because Surge and Kit's dynamic is something that we're going to explore a lot. Question comes from Happy Times. How would the Chaotix meeting Boom Vector go? Do you think Charming and Espio would feel insecure that Boom Vector seems to be more successful without their Boom counterparts? That is a fair assessment. I think ultimately they would like their Vector better, because Boom Vector is much more down to earth, which is a funny way of thinking about it. But I guess since Boom itself is so silly, you have to adjust somehow. Vector would definitely feel insecure, but the fact that he gets the vote of confidence from his compatriots would see him through it. Question from YDK. I'd like to ask a question. A lot of people have been using Aaron Weber's statement about everything is canon in Sonic. Was Aaron joking, or was he just referring to Game Sonic or something? I don't want to speak for Aaron, but I believe his intention was to basically say, don't worry about the game canon, because there is no way to perfectly reconcile all of it. So if you just accept everything is canon, everything is cool, just enjoy it as it is, you're good. Don't take it as like a hard, definitive creator statement. Just take it as a Zen moment. Just everything is canon. Everything's fine. Just sit back and enjoy the Sonic. The Uranium Skull, who has one of the most metal handles I have ever read. What would you like to see in a Reister sequel? I need to know for a very special project. Hope you get better, Kyle. For Reister, I would like to see the design dock that I'm sitting on right now, to be perfectly honest. I'd like to see a little faster gameplay. His walking speed is just, it drives me nuts. The flinging yourself around, the acrobatics, they're fun, they're dynamic, but that walking speed is just killer. I just need a little more, or like a run button or something, so that if you have the confidence, you can just sprint and jump and fling and whatever. If you don't have the confidence, if you want to explore, if you want to take your time, then you walk. You find that nice middle ground. I would also like to see something other than Greedy and his minions. Bring in a new villainous force. Like maybe Greedy is a cameo boss or something. But don't repeat the same enemy again. Do something new. Maybe new planets, or explore the region a little bit more. Give you an option to tackle things at your own pace in different order. Like maybe take a page out of Kirby and have like each planet is a hub, and you can go to different levels in different orders, unlocking harder ones as you go along, maybe. Anything more specific, and I'm just throwing ideas out there for free. Let's take a quick look. Do we have any more? Yes, we have more super chats. Oh my goodness. This one comes from Monokuma. Hi, Ian and Kyle. Here's a question. Is E123 Omega a difficult character to appear in any story without Team Dark? Yes and no. Yes, in that I don't feel like he's a strong enough character to really exist on his own. He needs to be the foil to somebody else. Part of that is the limitations of his character, but that's part of the appeal of the character is he is so basic. He is so tunnel vision in his motivations, and that's what I think is so fun about him. You have, so many other complex characters and complex dynamics, and he's almost Big the Cat-like in that he sits kind of at the extremes of the characterizations in the series. So I don't think he has to necessarily be with Team Dark. You put him in a scenario with just about anybody else, and that abrasive, violent single-mindedness can be played off of by anybody else. But Team Dark is kind of the go-to because that's just what folks are more used to, I guess. Super chat from Sonic Mania 2099. Going back to Archie Sonic, why wasn't Boom Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy weren't fully in Worlds Unite? Was this a SEGA idea? Yes, I think we were restricted to just Boom Sonic. And we wanted it to not just be Boom Sonic, so that's why Comedy Chimp and Fastidious Beaver were there as kind of like the gag characters to come along. We couldn't really represent the Boom universe, so here are the two characters that nobody in licensing really cared about, so they get to tag along. I think that's at least how I remember it going. I could be wrong. This question comes from Rush. How does Sonic more ludicrous feats like outrunning a black hole or outpacing Solaris fit in IDW canon? When he really needs to push himself, his goes fast is very fast. Super chat from Jamal S. And Flynn, what is your opinion on a rally for Sally and freedom fighters? I'm all for it. As long as it is done right. Like, don't fabricate internal documents from companies trying to make your point that really is not good. But, gather together like-minded fans and continue to promote the message that they are wanted, that there is a market for these characters, that there is demand for them to show up, and politely let SEGA and IDW know that you exist and that that's what you want. A positive campaign for these characters is not going to be a bad thing, and it only makes things easier on my end whenever I get a meeting and I get to say, so it's been a while. How about them freedom fighters? No, not right now. Okay, maybe next time. But I'm not giving up on it. I'm going to keep trying from my end and doing what I can. So you guys keep at it too. And together, I don't know, maybe it can happen. Crazier things have come about. Another super chat from Edward9909. Thank you so much for your support. I need to get this off my chest. How would the Sonic cast interact with the Thomas and Friends cast? You mean Thomas the Tank Engine? Like the trains, the talking trains with the creepy eyes? And I mean, I'm not particularly familiar with the Thomas mythos. Are there planes in there too, or is that like a spin-off franchise? I don't know. I'm just remembering like super late night TV commercials. Thomas was a friendly enough train, from my understanding. They would get along. Maybe Eggman is taking over the rail yard with his horrible glaring trains out of Rail Canyon, and Sonic and his friends have to help Thomas and everyone save the wheelhouse from the egg train. I'm grasping at straws here. Super chat from Godzilla. Due to Sonic's free spirit, how successful a Jedi would Sonic? And how fast would Shadow fall to the dark side? Also, IG Omega. That is all. He's the E88. I dig it. Sonic, yeah, definitely not a Jedi. Does not have the focus or the patience to get it down, but he would still probably be like at least force sensitive or force latent to a degree. Like maybe that's the homing attack. He's just force pushing himself into objects. Shadow and the dark side. That depends on which version of the dark side do you want. Do you want like the canon movie version where it's just straight up black and white evil? Shadow's not evil. He wouldn't fall to that level of the dark side. If you're talking like extended universe legacy stuff, kind of shades of gray, morally questionable dark side, then yeah, he'd probably fall in that line. But we're not talking like full blown Sith. Maybe Dark Jedi, I guess. We're splitting hairs. Another super chat from Jamal S. Flynn, it's Flynn, buddy. Flynn. What is your opinion on Sonic's relationship with Sonic girlfriends? Don't dodge this question. I mean, it could work. I mean, he's got options, but it has to come down to a mutual understanding between partners. Like, Sonic is not going to sit still or settle down in one place anytime soon. So it would have to be this kind of understood long distance relationship. Like he's going to go off and adventure for months at a time and then come back around and is like, hey, how you been? And that takes a lot from whoever he is with. That's a lot of understanding. That is a lot of generosity, and not everyone is going to be able to do that. So if there's somebody out there who can, yeah, maybe they can make it work. Another super chat from Sonic Mania 2099. In terms of Halloween stories, how could Sonic and Friends deal with Five Nights at Freddy's concept? They'd be creeped out, but they're basically just machines. They smash badniks all the time. You get one jump scare, and then Freddy would be a bunch of scrap metal on the floor. All right, let's get back to the standard Q&A. All right, we are 1 hour into this. We can do it. I still have a voice. This comes from S Studios Alex. Happy New Year. Are you now the Excuse IDW Comics character opening for the games? No. I do not have that kind of authority. This one comes from Joshua J. I've been a Sonic comic fan since issue 0 way back in the 90s, and you were one of my favorite writers. Thank you very much. My question is, how would you have handled the endgame arc? What would you have changed? Thanks. That isn't an entirely fair question, insofar as what Sonic was then is very different than what it is now. Like, Endgame was written under this concept of licensed books don't last very long. And especially, and that a tie-in book, a funny animal tie-in book like Sonic should have been dead years and years ago. That they could do something crazy like kill off Robotnik because they didn't think they would be having a book for another year or two. So you don't need to worry about the consequences because a tie-in book like this is going to die on the vine eventually. The longevity it had was remarkable. The industry didn't treat tie-in books like this with the kind of respect that they do now. So there's a completely different mindset behind that. One that I would not have had back then, and I certainly don't have now. So the entire team who wrote Endgame as they did, produced, I should say, Endgame as they did, were working under the mindset and the general wisdom of the era. And that, I think, had a big impact on how it was created. Once the book showed it had legs, then, the milestone issues are like, okay, what are we doing with this and where do we go from there? But Endgame is kind of thought of as this is the end and we'll just see how far it goes after that. So let's pretend that I'm at the helm there and that is the mentality, that this is going to be like the last book and anything else after that is gravy. Still think that the core idea of Robotnik kind of wins, and then he and Sonic have their final fight, is gold. That is a very solid core for a finale to the Sonic book. A presumed finale to the Sonic book. I would not have added Drago or Hershey or any of that. I would have focused more on the Freedom Fighters themselves. Like, it's nice that Antoine and Bunny had something to do, but I don't think they necessarily had to be removed all the way to Down Under to do what they did. Rotor is virtually non-existent. Tails doesn't do much. Uncle Chuck is mostly missing. You have the Freedom Fighters do something. Like, if Robotnik has found Not Whole and he is taking it over, that is the worst case scenario. Let's keep the Sally death in there just for giggles. Because losing their leader, losing their main strategist, is a huge blow to it, to the team and the entire dynamic. So what happens when, worst case scenario, and they don't have their leader? Who steps up to do it? Did Sally have a contingency plan that, they can fall back on? Does she lead them to victory beyond the grave, sort of thing? Is she not dead, but, pining for the fjords, if you will? Do they have to rescue an incapacitated Sally amid all this? I think the murder, I don't know how you would work in the murder mystery angle, but maybe give Jeffrey some redeeming moment where he does something to save Sally and the rest of the team, maybe, or hit him with a bus. I don't really care. But I don't know. I think the primary plot line could still be used. It could, what's there isn't necessarily bad. It could just be revised a bit. Question from Kitari Station. In the encyclopedia, there's an enemy called Red Fruit, but in the Shadow of the Hedgehog Saikyo Kuroyaku guide, it's called Crimson Seed. Is there any reason for that change? The Red Fruit was the English localization, and the encyclopedia is built around primarily the English version of the Sonic stuff. Question from Waka Waka Patrol. You think there's a way to reasonably explain the 8 emeralds in Sonic the Fighters? Like, Metnak is making a fake one since he's supposedly from the Special Zone. You know what? Let's first address that. I am not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure the idea of Fang coming from a different dimension is a mistranslation or wonky localization, because he's, going after the Chaos Emeralds. I think it's that he can get into the Special Zone as easily as Sonic, and he's hunting down the gems, not that he is an interdimensional character himself. I can't be 100% certain on that. I know that Fang himself is kind of getting revised as things goes on, because originally he only had the 3 fingers, which itself was kind of a nod to the Yakuza chopping off your pinky finger thing, and he now has 4 fingers as of Seasons of Chaos. That was an actual note to give him the full 5-fingered hand thing. So if that was a thing, it may have been revised out now. I'm not super certain. As for the 8 emeralds, we're just going to go back to that Zen comment of everything is canon. Just there's an 8th emerald that time. Why not? And if we really want to think about it, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Without a plan, how apt of a name. Do you consider Shadow to be immortal? I understand that he's technically 50 plus years old, but I always assumed the capsule he was in SA2 was a stasis pod, and that he will age normally now. That is an excellent distinction, and one I wish was addressed more. Even in the 200 years later thing, when Mephiles is doing the Devil's Temptation on the hill thing, and he shows Shadow in his weird energy crucifix thingy, that looks like a stasis prison. Not that Shadow has, endured 200 years locked in some kind of mecha thingy. So I don't know. a lot of people assume because he's the ultimate life form that he doesn't age. And if there is a canon statement like that, it might be like Japanese exclusive and kind of obscure. I'd have to look it up again. But that is something that I would like to be addressed at some point. Like, is he truly immortal because he just is the perfect living organism that can never die or never age? Or is it, like you said, because he was in stasis for 50 years and he was kept, freezer bag fresh? But no, that needs to be touched on, and that would be neat to identify. Lost Zorro asks, it's no surprise that everyone hates Xena, but what would happen if Xena turned good in Lost World? How would this affect the events of Forces or even IDW? Number one, I hope that doesn't happen, because her being awful is like the most interesting thing about her. And I'm tired of seeing villains redeemed. In Forces, I mean, the Deadly Six don't make an appearance. The Zavok that we see is a Phantom Ruby construct. So presumably they sat out the entire war up on Lost Hex. So I don't see her having any kind of involvement in that. In IDW, I'm presuming, I don't know, where does she turn good in this scenario? Is it during Metal Virus, where she sees that they've gone too far, in which case she would kind of help mitigate the Zombot problems by controlling them and corralling them? Would she go back with the rest of them at the end? Does she stay with the group because it's an abusive dynamic and she doesn't break away? Or is she acting as a mole? There's a few ways you could take it. Question from Scarlet Chan. Hey, Ian, I always wanted to ask you this since 2013. Oh, your patience is incredible. How would you write an alternate scenario where Sonic and Sally switch roles and powers but kept their personalities? Interesting. Well, first question there is Sonic's personality born from his ability? Being able to outrace and outmaneuver and in some ways outthink any issue, give him that sense of arrogance and show-offiness? Or is it just he's naturally like that and he can back it up because he has those powers? But for the sake of your question, so Sonic is still kind of the showboat, show-off adventurer. Sally is still the even-keeled strategist. So with Sonic's powers, she would be a force to behold. We're talking strategic strikes and very precise usage of the speed and the momentum and the striking capabilities. So she would be much more surgical in the execution of the speed and would be kind of terrifying in that regard. Sonic, let's see, best Sally had like above par athletic abilities, gymnastic skills. So we would still see a fair bit of flippy dippy coming out of Sonic. But I could see him as more of a support role. And unlike Antoine, he could talk a big game and get himself out of trouble at the same time. So they could still work as a dynamic duo where she's doing the brunt of the work and getting attention while Sonic is able to infiltrate unnoticed. It'd be an interesting dynamic. And there's your writing prompt, aspiring writers. Take that dynamic and just give them different names. Don't make them animal people. And go. Do something with that. Question from Certified Nobody. Ian, is it true that Dave the Intern is secretly the true villain of Sonic Prime? That would be funny, but no, that is not true. Let's go check on the Superchats. Oh, we have a few more. Another one from Sonic Mania 2099. Thank you for your generosity in this new year. No, wait, that's the Halloween stories. I already read that one. Well, still, thank you. Edward 9909, who is also just as generous in this new year. Thank you so much. And no offense, but all the Thomas information you had is wrong. Well, so it is. Sorry, I don't really know anything about Thomas. Question from Monokuma. Was there a reason or mandate on why E102 Omega, E123 Omega took so long to be introduced in the IDW and Archie comics? Does he have a specific mandate to be part in any story arc? Is he too violent for the comics? No, he just didn't have a place to fit in Revenge of Neo Metal. Keep in mind that with that arc, we were basically rebuilding what a Sonic comic was. And so the focus needed to be on the primary characters. Omega certainly would have been helpful in blowing up Neo Metal's forces, but in terms of characterizations and dynamics, he wasn't really essential. Cream kind of fell the same way. I wanted her in the big final fight, but Sega's like, you can't really introduce a new character, so to speak, at the end of the story. And to their credit, cramming Cream in at the very end there for the final fight, it wouldn't be earned. Why is she there other than for the cameo role? So once Neo Metal had given the tone and set up what the book was, with Metal Virus, we were able to explore more and bring in even more characters and have more fun with all the toys. But not everyone can show up in everything, unfortunately. Getting back into the standard Q&A, Damien A. asks, how you think the modern cast would react to the BumbleKast? A little off-put initially. Just, here's us again, but different. But eventually they would get along amicably. I mean, Boom Knuckles and regular Knuckles, I think, would be the biggest difference, obviously, but they both have that fighting spirit deep down, so they'd be getting along for sure. I mean, they would all eventually mesh. They're all good people. Question from Boney Cheese. How do you think Surgeon Kit would react to the metal virus? I don't think I can answer that because that gets into what they are in addition to who they are. And that's kind of spoilery. So, I'm going to have to dodge that one. Sorry. This one comes from Hypermetaru. What would happen if Scratch and Grounder are sent to the SATAM universe, but Sally and Bunny are sent to the Adventures of universe? Okay. Scratch and Grounder are terrified. Because SATAM Robotnik is nothing like their old boss. At first, they kind of kowtow to Snively because he has the lay of the land. He can help them survive. But once Scratch realizes that, all you got to do for the number 2 position is to suck up, he starts plotting against Snively. And so you have a series of antics of Scratch and Grounder trying to betray Snively. And hijinks ensue. Bunny and Sally in Adventures of... Sally would be a bit frustrated that they're not just taking care of Robotnik. He doesn't have an army. He doesn't have control of the planet. He just has that one really gaudy base on the top of the mountain. Sure, it's a fairly strategically defensible position, but they can take it. They have Sonic. They have Bunny. They have Tails. Why don't they just do that? And then they get sidetracked with some kind of nonsense and another Saturday Night Live ripoff character. They're happy to go home. Let's leave it at that. Question comes from B17567. The Separatist Alliance invades Sonic World. Now Sonic and the Freedom Fighters fight against General Grievous and the Droid Army. What is Starline's opinion of them? Alright, so just to rationalize this, we'll just say Mobius is within the greater Star Wars galaxy. And I'm calling it Mobius just for simplicity's sake. And there's people in there, but there's humans everywhere. Coruscant, Naboo, planets, whatever. Humans are there. Separatist army comes in to annex it. And, I mean, overall, the droid army is no worse than the Eggman Empire. You can't tell me that the battle droids are any more effective than the egg pawns when you get down to it. So Sonic and crew kind of do what they do. They smash robots and they make their way to the central command and they crash the ever-loving crap out of Newt Gunry's ship. And the planet is saved. And I guess sides of the Republic? Maybe? I don't know. Maybe it's an Outer Rim thing and they don't want to get involved. Question from YDK. Does Sonic have a hell, Platonism, and young archetype? No. Question from XL Hedge. Hello, Ian. Get well soon, Kyle. And Mobius 25 years later, part 2. It was implied Shadow ended the Eggman war and possibly killed Eggman. My question is, why? What did Eggman do to push Shadow over the edge? I don't think it's so much over the edge as without Sonic there to act as a counterbalance, to mitigate things, to be a foil, both in the greater global theater of combat and for Shadow personally. Shadow didn't really have anything to stop him from just being pragmatic. And it's like, okay, Eggman's a bad guy. No one can stop him. I'm going to just kill him. There, problem solved. I don't think it was like anything egregious or awful. It was just Eggman bad. Stop Eggman. Bada bing. And then it kind of snowballed from there to everyone's an idiot. I'm the ultimate life form. I know better. Is that 100% in character? Not terribly, but the editor said make King Shadow. So it's like how do you rationalize that? Question from Pizza Imperial. Hi. Is Ian 54 years old? No, not yet. I'm going to be turning 40 this year. And I kind of feel like it's an oncoming glacier. Slow, but eclipsing and ever crushing. Question from Ellie Plays Games. Ian, are you a fan of Ben 10 at all? Would you like a Sonic Ben 10 crossover since Man of Action is making Sonic Prime? I never really saw a lot of Ben 10. I know the basic premise, what with the alien watch doodad and the different alien transformations they're in. You could probably play with that and have Ben get like a Mobian transformation, turn into one of the Sonic Forces avatar type things, experience that kind of stuff. I don't know if did the alien, is it like specific aliens or is it like general alien abilities? Like, could Ben become a Sonic himself? Like, not just a Mobian, but like Sonic and all his powers. Is that how the watch works? Because you could have some fun with that. As for a crossover type thing, that would be up between Man of Action and SEGA. Question from Tony C. Would Starline and Infinite work together, or that relationship wouldn't work? If we're talking like Sonic Forces era, and Eggman has employed Infinite, then Starline would tolerate it, but he would not be particularly happy with Infinite's modus operandi or mentality or execution, to be honest. And Infinite would have no patience for Starline, but they both work for the boss, so they would kind of work together. They wouldn't immediately betray each other, I guess is what I'm saying. Here we are into the hour and 15-minute mark. Can you hear my voice going? Well, guess what? We're going to push for that 2-hour mark, I should say. We're not pushing for the voice loss. Question from Tony C. Would Starline and Infinite work? I already read that one. Question from MSP 169. Favorite Sony Spider-Man universe film that's not Spider-Man 2? Into the Spider-Verse. That counts, right? That is a work of art. That is freaking gorgeous. Beyond that, yeah, nothing else. Question from Francisca A. Hey, during Christmas and New Year, what do the villains do for the holidays? Steal presents, ruin someone's day, or what? We kind of touched this on previous BumbleKast right before the end of the year. But Eggman works he doesn't wait for the holidays. World's not going to conquer himself. World's not conquer itself. So always plotting, always planning. Starline, as we previously established, is not a big fan of holidays. Rough and Tumble, they definitely try to steal presents. Like 1 year, I'm sure they dress up as Santa because they feel like that is the best con ever, because nobody's going to report Santa except they get stuck in chimneys and they get caught first thing. Infinite may be dead. Mephiles definitely dead. Who else we got? Mimic. Depends. Either he kind of stays off the grid because during the holidays there's just too much people traffic. It's hard to you can hide in a crowd, but there's a lot of eyes and there's a lot of attention, so better to stay away. Or he impersonates a like mall Santa and gives like all the worst advice to the kids and promises them things that can never actually be delivered upon just to be a jerk. Question from Commander Cody. Is it possible to have a dragon Sonic World in an IDW? Maybe. I do remember there was a concept art sheet for forces of a variety of species that didn't make the cut. I think there was a moose in there, of all things, and a dragon was among them. But dragons are generally treated as a more mythical, powerful species, so I don't know. It would really have to come down to what are dragons in this Sonic world, I mean, do we follow Chun-Nan and they are more of a mythical thing, not really like animals or Sonic animals, or is there kind of a disparaged thing where you have like actual hedgehogs and then Sonic-styled hedgehogs? So then it's a question to be asked. It's waters to be tested. We can see stuff. Let's see. Check on the super chats. Yep, missed a couple. Again from the Edward 9909. Thank you so much. Is IDW in the Archie multiverse? No, absolutely not. Another super chat from J Chance. If Amy could go super, what tips could Sonic give her? How would Sonic or Amy keep themselves from gaining a god complex from ultimate power? I don't think it's in their nature, to be honest. I think Sonic is too carefree to want power or to hold on to power. Like, sure, he enjoys the thrill at the time, but it's not something that he covets. It's not something that he needs to feel validated with. He gets that power to do what he wants with it, and then he's cool with it when it's done. Amy, likewise, if she did want to hold on to the power, it would be for the virtue of helping others. She wouldn't want to lose that ability to do for other people. But I think it would be very easy to break through to her and say, "Hey, you're getting a little god plexy there," and she'd go, "Oh, whoops," and power down and apologize for the inconvenience. As for tips as to what to do, I don't know if Sonic would get the chance. She goes super, whatever scenario that leads to, she's going to get work done. She ain't going to wait around to be, shown the training wheels version. She's seen Sonic a number of times. She gets the general idea. She knows what to do. And I imagine she would have a giant freaking hammer and it would be glorious. Let's get back to the standard Q&A. This one from Sahi. Do you think some sort of rankings in your mind in terms of power for the SonicCast? Or do you consider that everyone is pretty much on par with each other to avoid power creeps? Generally speaking, everyone has their talents, but are kind of more or less in the same general field. I mean, we get into the nitty gritty. Sonic is going to be faster than everybody else. Like, for one, Knuckles is stronger than most everybody else. Big is ludicrously strong, but he doesn't really apply it, that kind of thing. Like, Tails and Cream can both fly, but Tails seems to be able to achieve higher altitudes, while Cream seems to have a greater speed to her flight, if we're going by Sonic Advanced. But in terms of just like base raw power, sprinting speed, bench strength, whatever, I think it's within reason of what everyone can do. Like, I don't think Cream is going to be able to lift like Vector, but that should go without saying. Question from Gareth S. Not sure if it would be allowed, but did officially work with. Let's try to read this time. But did officially working with SEGA on Frontiers give you a better understanding of all the internal logic / lore for the franchise? Debating NDA, debating quantifying. Judiciously just going to say yes. Although I wasn't surprised by some stuff. I'll leave it at that. Question from Gracie C. I don't know if this was already been answered or not, but can Mimic breathe underwater due to being an aquatic creature? Also, I hope Kyle gets well soon. I guess he does. I mean, he's an octopus. He should be able to survive underwater. That feels like one of those weird things that SEGA would say no on, but maybe I'm just being paranoid. I'm just going to assume that yes, he can, because he's an octopus. Question from Kaneko Club. All right, time for the most important question possibly of all time. If you got turned into a Mobian / Sonic Worldian, would you wear pants? Oh. Question for the ages. What are pants? I can't remember the Strong Bad email, so I'm not going to try to quote it. If you know what I'm talking about, you're already laughing because that was one of the best Strong Bad emails. I mean, culturally, dudes don't wear pants in Sonic's world, so I guess I wouldn't. I mean, in that context, I wouldn't know any different, I guess. I don't know. Question from the Ark. I would like to know if you'd like to use the Soul Dimension or other characters from more obscure Sonic games like Sonic and the Black Knight. I would love to explore Blaze's world so much more, but that kind of falls under the purview of like Silver's timeline, and doing more stuff with Knuckles is just how much creative freedom would we be given. I'm inclined to believe we might actually have been given a lot of leeway, because when we introduced the Imperial Palace, they said, you make the design. This is what we're thinking, but you come up with your own design. So to me, that's a big deal, personally. As for the storybook characters, like from Black Knight and Secret Rings, I feel like they've served their purpose. They're neat, but I don't feel like there's something that needs to be returned to. If anything, it would be more interesting to do new storybook style interpretations of the characters. Question from Godzilla. Pick your 3 Sonics for Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Sonic-verse. Sorry about that. Modern, classic, and movie. Let's keep it topical and recent. Question from Star Scrambled. Are Knuckles and Rouge still an implied romance in IDW? It seems more subtle so far, but I'm wondering what your take is on them. Do enjoy writing them that way? Pretty curious. Do you enjoy writing them that way? Pretty curious. Sorry, eyes are getting a little bleary. I'm reading a lot of questions. How does Kyle freaking do this, man? Freaking Haas. Knuckles and Rouge's relationship, I'm trying to skew closer to what the SEGA standard is, and that is odd, nuanced, not really addressed in a long time, to be perfectly honest. I kind of feel like my interpretation of it so far is that there's a degree of mutual respect between them, which almost becomes attraction, but there's also things about each other that they just can't stand. So there's always that wedge between them. So it's kind of a will they won't they, kind of flirty one day, don't want to talk to each other another day. Uh, as far as like really getting into it and developing it, I don't see that happening in the immediate future. Question from Vlad C. Why was Sonic Runner's Adventure left out of the encyclopedia? Was it? Was it? I'm going to have to crack open a copy of the book. It shouldn't have been. No, wait. Sonic Runner's Adventure. Oh, sorry. Jeez, I read that as Sonic Rush Adventure, and I'm panicking. Like, how did I forget, like, the best 3DS Sonic game? Why was Sonic Runner's Adventure left out of it? I know we didn't cover a lot of the mobile games. Partly upon request and partly because some of them aren't as prominent and because there's only so much space in the book. Shoot, I could have sworn it was at least mentioned in the Sonic Runners entry. Again, I'd have to crack open the book and see. It has been a long time since I wrote that book. And, I retain a lot of Sonic knowledge in general, but not necessarily how it's been applied. Question from Jonathan C. It was good to see the trailer for the movie and the video game. For when will the Netflix series come out? I am not 100% certain of that myself, and I don't think I can say. So just keep an eye on official channels for official announcements of that. Blah, blah, blah. Come on, 30 more minutes, Flynn. You can do this. The people want their answers. Question from Stephen A. Hey, Ian, in terms of Star Wars, do you think The Empire is the best film because of the stakes? What is your favorite Star Wars moments? I feel like Empire is the best told story out of them all. Like, A New Hope kind of drags. Jedi spends way too much time on Tatooine with the Jabba stuff. And I understand the thematics, but I do not buy there's still some good in you turnaround. And then I never liked that. And that was before the prequels came out and really cemented in the whole, no, Vader murdered a room full of children. There's no good in you nonsense. Get out of here. Malarkey. But Empire felt like it was a organic growth and escalation of the universe that was established before. And debatably, it doesn't feel like a complete story because it does end on that cliffhanger of what happened to Han, but otherwise just everything, the flow of the story, each build to each climax and each peak, and the interconnecting stuff, it's just fascinating. It's a lot of great character moments. Like, favorite Star Wars moments, a lot of them are in Empire, really, when you get down to it. There's a few things here and there in the prequels and a few things in the sequels, but Empire, I feel like, was kind of like the movie that all others have kind of are gauged against. A few more standard, then I'll check on those super chats. Question from Without a Plan. Again, nope, we answered one from you. Let's see if we can find one from someone who hasn't been done first. Not to call you out Without a Plan. I just remember your hilarious screen name. This one comes from Sam S. Do you think a Sonic pitch where you use a hero character to be a villain for a story arc would be accepted? Or is there some rule about heroes must stay heroes all the time? Are you saying kind of like Sonic but in a villainous role? Because he technically kind of did that in Black Knight already, what with being the Oathbreaker and taking down King Arthur himself. In general, though, I don't know if we could get away with a like hero being. Well, I mean, I guess it's the context. Like, are the heroes doing something for the greater good that is perceived as villainy, or are you talking like heroes just straight up have a heel turn for the story? Because the latter, I think, would be a harder sell. And if they have to go back to being a face by the end of the story, then what's really the point aside from the shock of, oh, they were a villain? Question from System 509. Would Knuckles even care about repopulating the Echidna race? I don't think it's possible when you have one to go around, unless we're talking like Krogan clones. But I think he would be more, if he were to find other Echidnas out there, I think he would be more inclined to protect what is there and ensure that it thrives rather than rebuild from nothing. Question from Excel Hedge. Hey, Ian, we know Shadow can keep pace with Sonic due to his jet shoes. My question, has Sonic ever tried to borrow Shadow shoes? Has he bugged Tails to make copies of them? I think he would maybe want to try them out for the novelty of it, but he's confident enough in his own speed, and there's a degree of rivalry between the two of them, so I don't think he would ever want to open himself up to the accusation of he needed air shoes, or he thought Shadow shoes were cooler, so of course he wanted them. No, he's perfectly fine with his own shoes. Get out of here with this nonsense. Question from Biostar96. So, was the change in head writers really just a whim of the editors, or did it have anything to do with your role in Frontiers? Not at liberty to say. Let's just leave it at that. And let's get back to the super chats before we run out of time. Well, we still have a bit of time, but still, let's get to those super chats because you people are wonderfully generous and you need to be rewarded for your generosity. Another one from Monokuma. Imagine that Eggman decided to clone Omega to create an army with the Phantom Ruby. How would the Resistance handle that? An army of Omegas going just wild. That would be... that's terrifying. I don't think there would be a Resistance afterwards. Maybe that's a lost tale of the Eggman War and how he gained 90% of the planet until they managed to, I don't know, somehow undo that. Or they just unleashed regular Omega on the Phantom Omegas, and that's why he's busted up when Tails finds him. I like that headcanon. That's fun. Comedy alternative take. Eggman creates a bunch of Omegas via the Phantom Ruby, but accidentally makes them too authentic, so now he's got a million angry Omegas tearing apart the Empire. Resistance immediately wins. Question from Jamal S. again. Thank you so much. Will there be a return of Hypersonic, Hyper Knuckles, or Turbo Tails back in the comics and games? Turbo Tails, absolutely not. That's Archie canon stuff that shall never be touched again. Hypersonic, I would like to. I mean, I understand the fear of power creep. Sonic has already taken a lot of nods from Dragon Ball, and we've seen what power creep has done to that series. So if we were to bring back Hypersonic, I think there needs to be, one, a very good reason for Hypersonic, and two, to make it extremely hard to access again. Because once you get that back on the table, the question is, why doesn't Sonic do that every time? Whenever there's a huge threat, why doesn't Sonic immediately grab the emeralds and go super again? Why even go around doing things normally when you have the win button right there? So whatever state Hyper, whatever it takes to get back to Hyper, I think it needs to be handled very, very carefully. I want to see it again, absolutely, because it's freaking sick. But whether it's Hypersonic or Hyper Knuckles, it needs to be that. I also want to make sure that you keep Hyper as its own title, because that's one of the things that bugged the crap out of me back in the old Archie days, is having Supersonic and Hyper Knuckles. It's like, no, that's not Knuckles' super state. That is a state beyond super. That's the Super Emerald. Super Emeralds make Hyper. They're different titles. It means different things. They have different visuals. They have different effects. Nerd. Question from Gyroder. Is there, if there was a Zone Cop version of Zavok, what would he be called? I think we touched on this like late last year in the BumbleKast. What did we say? Did we say like you turn the Z sideways into an N and they're the only ones that have like N names? Or did we put like a za in front of everything? So it's Zazavak, Zazina or something? Or did we just say that it was, the normal Z names and they think it's weird that everybody makes a big deal out of it? I don't remember now. Shoot, I need to check the Q&A master list over at bumbleking.com under the BumbleKast tab. Question from J Chance. Would Eggman sabotage a chili cook-off judged by Sonic, or would he legitimately enter because he believes he can create the superior chili? I'm inclined to think a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Like maybe he gets involved initially just to prove a point, and then when Sonic is unveiled as a chef, as a judge, Eggman decides to try to sabotage it to off his enemy, except that ends up ruining the flavor of his chili, so he ends up defeating himself. Question from Sonic Mania 2099. Could Tracy Yardley and Ms. Leah Baker do their own stories in IDW Sonic? Sure. I don't know what's stopping Tracy. Aaliyah is currently dealing with chronic medical issues. She's covered that on her previous appearances on the BumbleKast, and that is impacting a lot of what she wants to do. But in general, I'm sure they're free to pitch and, do their own stories. And I would love to see it myself because I really enjoyed the stories that they did back in the Archie days. All right, 20 more minutes. Let's bounce back over to the standard Q&A. This one comes from Tinchiko. How would you do an anti-Honey the Cat? All right, let's break this down. So Honey was vivacious and friendly, energetic, a bit of a scrapper, and all to self-promote her brand. But she wouldn't do it at the expense of anyone else. She offered to throw the fight because as much as she wants to promote herself, as much as she wants to perform well in the ring, she's not going to do it for the sake of the entire world. So she's a good person with a heart of gold brawler with a brand. So Auntie Honey, what even is Auntie Honey? What would her name be? Wax the Cat? I don't know. Wax the Cat. That is a horrible sentence. I'm sorry I said that out loud. Let's see. She would be a dirty fighter. Like no honorable fighting. It would all be like dirty tactics and horseshoes and the boxing glove type of thing. It would all be about self-promotion, like nothing else. No charity work, nothing else. Just her brand, just putting herself. She has to be number one. She has to be center of attention. And she's not out there fighting to promote her brand. She's out there fighting to promote herself because she is the brand and you will love her. And like actively tearing down other people. And what else? I think that's enough. I mean, that gives you a general idea. And absolutely has to be Candy's alternate colors from Fighting Vipers, like the blue and yellow. Question from Dove. What card games are popular in the IDW world? Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon? Something different? I bet Starlight and Eggman both played at some point. Do they still have their decks? Starlight doesn't have his deck anymore because he soundly beat Eggman with it because he just knows how to build a deck better. And Eggman made him toss it into the incinerator. What kind of card games? I don't know. Let's say something Chow based. Some kind of Pokemon-esque Chow card game where you're collecting the different types. You're flying, you're running, you're swim and whatnot. And like little Chow fruit and Chow drives to give you bonuses during gameplay. I don't know, somebody who knows how to make a card game. There's your seed of an idea. Do something grand with it. I mean, I know the fan game community has been churning out some absolute gems, even though I can't really partake. So y'all are creative and talented. Do something with that. And I will not be able to play it. Sad face. Mikey64 asks, how do you feel about Infinite being dead? Ambivalent. I feel like he's a little overhyped, but he has potential to be interesting. So if he's dead, fine. We have him come up with a more interesting new villain. If he comes back, fine. Just do something interesting with him. Question from Ukulele Emblem. Suppose Sonic's friends decided to have a foot race without Sonic and Shadow. Who ends up winning the race? Who comes in last? Does Tails get to do his propeller propulsion? Because I think that is kind of the major deciding factor. If it's just up to him running, I'd be pretty darn neck and neck. Maybe Knuckles would come in first. And I'm going to give Cream last place, because even though she would be pretty darn swift, even Amy's got a longer stride. So presumably she'd be able to outpace her. Maybe. If you're listening to this on Monday, please comment below and tell us who you think would win in a foot race. Drive the analytics for us. Question from Aaron M. Hey there, Ian and Kyle. Aaron M. here, and I was wondering, throughout Sonic comic history, all the electric types have always been villains. Is there a reason no heroes have this ability? Huh. You're right. Am I forgetting somebody? Because this feels all wind, and Victor's like sound and some fire, and Omega's got the laser, so that's not really yeah. I guess nobody. I mean, you could really stretch it and say, Sonic Adventure. Tikal says that you go fast enough to become a lightning bolt, but that's not it. That's not what you're talking about. Even Knuckles is more like fire and earth oriented. I mean, Shadow's chaos powers are lightning-esque, but he's not really a hero. He's still kind of like dark character. Huh. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. Maybe because lightning is generally considered very powerful and dangerous and scary. I mean, fire is too, so why does Blaze have? I don't know, but that's an interesting point. Food for thought. Question from B.A. Trace. Does Sonic actually know how to repair the tornado on his own? What did he do before meeting Tails? Yeah, I imagine Sonic is competent with it. Like, maybe not the best at maintaining it, but it's his plane, so presumably he's able to keep it running. And, Tails is more of a gearhead and more passionate about it, so I figure he just kind of steps back and let Tails have fun with it. Question from Geo. If you do a Sonic and Ladybug fanfic crossover, how would SonicCast react with other characters, and would Starline create a device or armor or positive energy to protect himself from Hawkmoth's Akumas? We actually just did. I'm pretty sure that was the last episode of 2021 was talking about the full cast interaction. So check the Master Q&A list. I'm like 99. If it wasn't the last one, it was like one of the last ones for December 2021. Question from Joey, the Sonic fan. Since Spike the Porcupine is like a parody of Sonic, is his ascot a parody of Sonic Boom's ascot? Given that Spike came out before Boom, no. Question from Mike B. Were there any immediate plans for Silver had Archie Sonic not been canceled? Yes. What were they? Oh, wait. Was the last arc Evan Stanley's Silver arc? Because in that case, she might have had definitive plans? Shoot. I would have to A, research that, and B, ask her. Question from Frank7640. If you could choose one character to be gender bent for Sonic Prime, which one would you choose and why? That's oddly specific. For Sonic Prime. Well, I guess you mean like in like the alternate universe type stuff. I don't know who benefits from that. What makes an interesting gender switch? I don't know. Maybe lean into one of the oldest misconceptions in the series and make Tails a girl. I mean, that we're talking like old school misconception. But beyond that, I don't know. I don't really think gender plays a terribly huge role into any characters. I mean, yeah, Amy leans heavily into her femininity, but her desire to help others and be a caring person, I think, isn't really defined by her being a girl. So I don't know. Question from Solaris Stain. Ian, how would Whisper react if Eggman revived the Diamond Cutters as cybernetic abominations? I imagine him using them as a special forces squad. Maybe has their memories wiped. That is a fan idea. That is a plot line. I cannot do that now. Question from Red King. Sorry, I think I failed to tag you properly. Happy New Year. I just want to know, who do you think would win between Paper Mario and Paper Mario series or Archie Sonic? Again, oddly specific. But it's interesting. It's interesting. See, normally when we do BumbleKast, I get at least like a few hours to review questions and think about it. But on the fly, you're tossing me these curveballs. Let me see here. Paper Mario versus Archie Sonic. I'm inclined to say Archie Sonic just because he has sometimes those weird Silver Age comic booky abilities, and Paper Mario is nimble. He's got some like folding techniques, but I'm pretty sure Sonic could turn him into confetti. All right, let's check on our super chat. One super chat. Again, from Jamal S. Thank you so much. Can you give a shout out to Nick at Game Apologist? Yo, Nick, over at the Game Apologist. This is Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, giving you a shout out. Thank you for being cool, and thank Jamal for asking me to shout out to you. Another super chat here from Hero of Light 13. If there was a canonical 8th Chaos Emerald, how would you justify its seeming absence from the story? And how would the Chaos Emerald's nature change with its inclusion? Also, what color would you make it? Well, I mean, if we're going to mine the old school stuff, I'd want it to be gold. Like from the old debug stuff. That would be neat. As for where has it been, man, they're Chaos Emeralds, man. Maybe it itself is super unstable amongst emeralds. Maybe it is a transient emerald. It is unique amongst the multiverse and travels between dimensions, because the gold one was only in Classic. And Classic era is where the weird numbers kind of come and go when you get your 6s and your 8s and your different colors. So maybe that's what unlocks Hypersonic. You get your 8th emerald, and that is what lets you go hyper and modern. And then once you've lost the power, the 8th emerald tumbles off into the multiverse again. Where will it go? When will it show up again? You never know, and you can't count on it. Therefore, it's not necessarily something that will happen. Yeah, sure, why not? That'll do for today. Let's see if we can do a few more standard Q&A. This one comes from Incredible Meh. Why do they call it oven when you go in the cold food, but out hot eat the food? Wait, Did I just have a stroke? Why do they call it oven when you of in the cold food, out hot eat the food? It's been 2 hours, man. Don't do this to me. I'm trying. I'm struggling. Question from James R. What caused Eggman to want to build an amusement park empire? I imagine he likes amusement parks. He likes the grandeur of it. He likes the spectacle, and he likes the attention. So, I mean, go to Disney World and see all the statues of Mickey and all the mascot stuff, the kind of idol worship, and all the fun and the whimsy that comes from. And Eggman wants that for himself. Ergo, theme park. Also, he wants to control everyone, therefore, empire. Question from Plays Games. Mighty and Ray are missing in Modern. Just Mighty is missing in Mania Adventures. Would Ray have gone missing if Metal Sonic didn't interfere? I think it'd be neat if it was the same event. Let me try that again. Mighty and Ray are missing in Modern. Mighty's... Okay. I think I get what you're asking. Yeah, a lot of the classic characters don't have modern analogs right now. And I don't know if that will ever change. I kind of like classic having its own identity and own cast, but I also see the appeal of having the modern cast, or having them join the modern cast, just so you can play with all the toys. As for in Mania Adventures, sure, if Ray had gone missing, Mighty would have turned over every stone and mountain, quite literally. Question from Ginger Fansay. Ian, is Silver traveling through time via the time gems from Sonic CD, or did Sega say no to that idea? I have not gotten a satisfactory answer on how he time travels. So we're just going to kind of smile and nod and just say he time traveled and move on. Here's your Zen moment. Everything is canon. All right, I'm going to do a few more, and then I'm going to check the super chats, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's see. The Acquainted Guy. Are there any modern game locations that aren't allowed in IDW? Like any location from 06, Unleashed Riders, etc.? I don't think so. I do know that for Free Comic Book Day 2022, we were asked to not use a specific location, but that was a classic location. So that isn't what your question was. But yeah, I don't think there's any modern locations that are off limits. I mean, the ruined future stuff is probably no go because for obvious reasons it doesn't exist anymore. And maybe some of the stuff from Sonic Colors, because those planets were all returned, presumably, to where they were supposed to go. But within reason, I don't think there's anything off the table. Question from Emmanuel H. What is Sonic character's favorite music? Why you gotta give me this big list thing right here at the end? It's not your fault. I'm kidding. Sonic is definitely into any kind of upbeat, fast-paced type of music. I mean, anything from speed metal to ska. If it's got a high tempo, he's into it. Tails, I imagine, is into more electronic stuff. He is probably a Miku fan, although he would be a little bashful about admitting it, which, no big deals. It's fine. Amy's definitely into pop rock. Cream, death metal. Big is into slow orchestral pieces. Knuckles, anything with percussion. As long as there's a good drum track to it, he's into it. Doesn't really matter otherwise. Eggman is exclusively into Scandinavian polka. And Marine plays the didgeridoo by herself. Let's see. Excel Hedge. I know we answered one from you. Let's try to get a few more people who haven't been answered yet. I don't think I remember Shamar P. Hello, Ian. I tried to ask this a couple lives ago, but I read that in the video game sense, but I realize you mean live sessions. Not sure if it was answered, but why do you think so many franchise comics like Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, and Sonic have a DC-style multiverse crisis? Because they're fun when you get down to it. There's always that friction of wanting to do something different outside of the confines of the license, and that takes off in popularity if you're allowed to do so. And then it's like, okay, well, now you have these two versions. Wouldn't it be fun to see them smashed together? And with Sonic itself, who's had so many different permutations over the years, there's always that desire, as you've probably heard in today's show, of seeing all the different flavors getting mixed together in one bowl. Let's see. A couple more standard. Lucian E in Sonic 149 and 150. Mogul has destroyed the multiverse with the palm of his hand, or were they just universes? Oh, shoot. It's been a while, but I think the implication was that he did actually eradicate the multiverse, but then Titan Tails undid that, like giant cosmic reset button type of thing. Surge the Terror asks, was John the Tiger of Dulcie's team and Archie reboot mean for the Dragon Kingdom Freedom Fighters, a group of scrapped characters from the pre-reboot whoa. Was John the Tiger of Dulcie's team and the Archie reboot mean for the Dragon Kingdom Freedom Fighters, a group of scrapped characters from, I know who they are. Were they from the pre-reboot? Okay. No, John was created for post-reboot exclusively. Last standard Q&A from Grim Dragon. Where would Styx live in IDW? On Angel Island, constantly hiding from Knuckles? That's what I want, to be perfectly honest. A pitch that got shot down is I wanted Styx to have been on Angel Island this whole time, thinking she was the Guardian. And she and Knuckles had never run into each other all this time, and they end up butting heads over who is the actual Guardian of Angel Island. I am so sad that got shot down. I might try to pitch that again someday. That's funny. I don't care who you are. And we have no waiting super chats. So, with that, as my voice starts to get increasingly scratchy and squeaky, I'm going to call it done. Thank you so much, everyone who supported with the show. God, look at all those super chats. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you to everyone else who asked your questions too. There were some really fun ones in there. Big thank you to Kyle, who is working through his sickness to keep this show running. Big thank you to Jen for cultivating all these questions and even making the show possible. If it was up to just me, this would be a disaster. So thank you very, very much, Jen. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, everyone who's listening, either now or in the future. We are planning a lot of things for January, but we'll see how that goes. All depends on how Kyle is doing and how he recuperates. His health absolutely takes the priority. I'm sure you guys understand. So maybe some things will have to be pushed back to February. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But we will do our best to continue doing BumbleKasty stuff. As always, follow us on Twitter at BumbleKast to see any news and announcements. And like, subscribe, ring the bell, sacrifice the chicken in the moonlight, whatever it is YouTube wants you to do now to follow us. It shouldn't be that hard. And thank you. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. I hope 2022 treats you well. I hope we're finally out of the woods with all this global nonsense, and maybe things will finally take a turn for the better. Well, this is Ian Flynn, the Bumble King. Thank you so much for joining us for the first BumbleKast of 2022. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.